Hey coaches, this is Jason Goldberg, speaker, coach, trainer, and your host here at the Master Circle, the world's first and only training platform to help you become a masterful coach by allowing you to see behind the scenes access to real coaching sessions by some of the top coaches on the planet. And so what I want to do today is I want to give you just a little bit of information, share with you some of the big ideas that came out of one of our Master Circle interviews. And it was with Steve Chandler. Steve Chandler is the Godfather of Coaching. He's the author of 37 Ways to Boost Your Coaching Practice. He's the co-author of the Prosperous Coach with Rich Litvin. And we had an amazing interview together. It was about 2 hours long of us talking to Steve, learning about what it meant for him to become a powerful coach, seeing him really coach this guy, Steve, around a lot of things going on in his life, and then also to do the debrief at the end where we can talk about what he did in the coaching. And so what I want to share with you today is kind of just an overview of 3 of the big ideas that I took away, 3 of the most impactful nuggets that I got out of watching and being a part of this interview to help you to become a more masterful coach right now in your coaching practice today. So, number 1, the first thing that I want to talk about is this. Stop being so serious. See, Steve is great about this. He's really into playfulness. And being really serious is just not effective or is much less effective in all endeavors of our lives, no matter if it's coaching or if it's making a stronger relationship with a significant other or whatever it is in our lives. Anything that we want to do in our lives, anything we want to accomplish and get really good at, bringing a sense of seriousness to it doesn't make it any more effective. Now, it's not to say you shouldn't be committed and be really dedicated to whatever it is you want to accomplish, but you can do that with a sense of fun and playfulness. And so Steve really drew this home for us and said, as clients are expanding their consciousness and they're becoming more awake as to what's really available for them and what the possibilities are for them, we want to make this as fun and as accessible and as relaxing as possible for them so they can really start to feel what those changes could look like, so they can really see how this can impact them in an awesome, fantastic, impactful, transformational way, but without it being so heavy and so serious. And as coaches, this affects us even more because a lot of the stresses that coaches have, especially newer coaches, but not just newer coaches, a lot of the stresses they have come from how do I talk about what I do? Right? Somebody says, what do you do? And you freeze up. Oh, I don't know how to tell people I'm a life coach. Like, what are they going to think of me? And what do I say? And do I need an elevator pitch? And do I need a niche? And all these stressful things come into play. And it's for one reason, because we're taking it too seriously. So Steve gives us a fantastic example, several examples, not just in the interview, but also in the actual coaching he does with David, where he brings levity, he brings humor, he brings lightness into the situation. Because the fact is that the more fun that we can have, the less fear we're going to have. See, I like to say that fun and fear cannot coexist, right? It's like trying to sneeze with your eyes open. You ever try to sneeze with your eyes open? Don't try it because I think it's dangerous, but you just can't do it. You can't sneeze with your eyes open. And so the same thing happens with fun and with fear. Right? If you can bring fun into the equation, the fear immediately starts to dissipate. And so Steve giving us that example and modeling that for us and letting us know that we don't have to be serious, we can have fun and be playful with this is a huge big idea that I took away from this interview. Okay, so let's move on to big idea number 2. And big idea number 2, Steve shows us, is perfection creates distance. So what do I mean by that? When we as coaches show up and think we have to be perfect, that we have to know it all, that we have to have it all figured out before we can coach somebody else, not to mention, does it go back to big idea number 1 of us feeling like everything is so serious and so heavy and there's so much pressure, and how can you have fun and really serve the person that you want to coach powerfully if you're just so caught up in your own ego and your own seriousness? But beyond that, beyond the way it feels, showing up in a way where we're trying to tell people that we're perfect or we have it all figured out actually creates distance between us. It moves people further away from us because they can't relate to us. If they think that we're perfect and we have it all figured out, that actually can scare people away that you want to coach powerfully. Because they say, oh, I can't relate. This person's so perfect. They have everything figured out. I can't see myself ever getting to that level. So now what we think is making us seem valuable and like we have everything figured out actually is pushing them away. Okay? So instead, if we can show up telling true stories about our own challenges and our own victories of us being coached powerfully ourselves and the things that we've overcome in our own lives, that creates intimacy. So now, by showing that we're real people just like them, that we have challenges just like them, and sharing stories of what those challenges were and what you've done as a real person to overcome those challenges, or maybe you still even struggle with some of those challenges, but you've made progress, that instead of pushing them away, draws them closer because they say, this is a real human being. This is somebody that can truly support me in what it is I'm going through because they've been there. They've done that inner work. They know what it feels like to be where I'm at. And that makes people feel much more supported and much more at ease and much more relaxed to come into a coaching conversation with you where you can then do your magic of being a powerful, powerful coach. So remember, showing up as being perfect, trying to show like you have everything figured out, like you know it all, that creates distance, pushes people away from you. And when you can show up as a real person and you can be authentic and you can share real challenges and real victories that you've had in your own life, that brings intimacy and that brings people closer to you. Okay, and last but not least, big idea number 3 from the Master Circle interview and coaching demonstration with the Godfather of Coaching, Steve Chandler, is this. Watch your mouth. Okay, watch your mouth. And what do I mean by that? Language. The language that our clients use is so important to watch because language reflects our thoughts and our beliefs and can be toxic to our system. So when clients are using specific words that maybe have them coming from a victim place where they don't have any ownership or responsibility of what they've talked about, or maybe they've gone to a place where they've just made everything really catastrophic, that language is going to continue to infect their belief system, and it's going to be very hard for them to make any shifts, to transform, to change things in their lives based on the language they're using. So it's so important. And there's one point in the coaching demonstration when Steve Chandler is coaching David here, is that David talks about his fear of, and actually says that this happened, that he and his family lost everything, right? That's a pretty big statement. We lost everything. And so what Steve was able to do in this coaching demonstration that you'll see in the interview was to really slow David down. See, David wasn't even thinking about the fact that he was saying we lost everything because he's told that story so many times that in the past, whatever happened with his family and their financial situation, which you'll hear about in the interview, is that they lost everything. He believed it. He created this story and it's what he's held on to ever since. And so it just puts deeper and deeper fear of what could happen to him in the future in his head. So Steve really helps us slow him down to show him where he may be unnecessarily over-dramatizing what happened. He slowed him down. Instead of letting things just be catastrophic and letting him continue to believe that he lost everything, he helped him really get specific on what did you lose? And it was funny because there's a part of the interview you'll see where David talks about losing his car, and you'll see that he never actually even lost his car. But he made this belief, he made this story up in his mind of losing everything, and even getting more specific, losing his car. And when Steve slowed him down to help him see and to reframe what really happened, you can just see David, his body got lighter, he got a smile on his face, and he realized, oh wow, it wasn't nearly as scary or catastrophic as I thought it was. So if we can really help our clients to watch their mouths, right, and call them out when they're using debilitating language that's really holding them back, then we can help them move forward because they can create new beliefs from the way they speak their world. Because the language you use to speak your world creates your world. So be very in tune to the language your clients is using, and also make sure that you know, hey, listen, I'm going to call you out on this, and you can say it from a place of love and going back to, not being serious. You don't have to make a huge deal out of it, but you can just ask them very kind of in a relaxed and playful way, can you tell me more about that? You lost everything? I'm really curious. I mean, that's a big statement. Can you tell me more about what it means to have lost everything? And it just helps you get some more clarity around what they mean, helps them get clarity, and that's the first step for you to shift and have them use more empowering language. So that's it, guys. The 3 big ideas of tons of big ideas in this interview with Steve Chandler for the Master Circle, along with this 2-hour-long interview and coaching demonstration and debrief where you learn a ton of information and see a bunch of transformation right before your eyes of what it looks like to be a master coach. I'm also including about 5 pages of typed notes that came directly from the interview. So there's 3 big ideas here, and there's about 5 pages of detailed notes that go along with that will truly make you a more powerful, more masterful coach if you test these and experiment with them and play with them from a non-serious way in your own coaching practice. So if you want to go see that interview now, get all that goodness, get to see Steve Chandler in action, to see all the notes and all the amazing stuff that happened in that session, make sure you sign up for the Master Circle now, and I can't wait to see you on the other side. Take care.